Well, hello and welcome to Halftime Report. I'm Sonia Shenoy and with me is Mangalam Malu and Ekta Batra. Well, things are, you'd have to say, just ho-hum in the market. Not too much in terms of activity. The mid-cap index is trending in the green. The Nifty has recovered from the lows. But all in all, you'd have to say that there's not so much happening. So let's talk about a big headline, which is, of course, the auto sales numbers, right?
The auto sales numbers. So let's go straight then. We have M&M, Sonia, I believe, with us. Reported a strong performance in the September auto sales. They've recorded their highest ever monthly wholesale volumes, up, what, 129% a year.
Absolutely. And you know what? The big thing about M&M, as we know, most of the new products have seen very good sales, right? So we have Veejay Nakra, who's the President-Automotive Sector at M&M, who joins in to discuss their September performance. Mr. Nakra, good morning and thanks for joining in. Total sales for September have gone up 129% year on year. Wanted to understand how much of this is inventory stocking to dealers?
So firstly, thank you for having me on the show, Sonia. As far as the numbers are concerned, firstly, they are record numbers and we're delighted that we've had a great month, highest ever overall number, highest ever SUV performance. To the best of our knowledge, that takes us back to #1 position in SUVs, both by volume and by revenue share. As far as your question on stocking is concerned, just to put it in perspective, recently we had also spoken about the strong booking pipeline that we have, and hence these numbers are supportive of fulfilling that demand. We have over close to 260,000 overall bookings across our product range. The demand is very strong across all categories, whether we talk about last mile mobility, whether we talk about small commercial vehicles, or whether we talk about our SUV portfolio. So this is not from a stocking point of view, but our ability to ramp up to fulfill the demand, the strong demand that has been there for our portfolio of products.
And how much of this you think is due to pent-up demand?
Besides Thar, the XUV 700 and the recently launched Scorpio N, the booking pipeline is extremely strong across all other products. In fact, an interesting fact that I would like to share with you is that while the bookings, the fresh bookings for Scorpio N and XUV 700 both continue to be over 10,000 numbers, the Scorpio Classic, which is the refresh version of the earlier Scorpio, as you know that the earlier Scorpio and the Classic refreshed Avatar and the Scorpio and both coexist. The Scorpio Classic has got the highest booking in our portfolio last month. Even the recently launched Bolero Max pickup has got record bookings last month. So all in all, it's not about building stock, but the buoyancy, the demand of our products during the festive season.
So what kind of a growth rate do you see in terms of sales now that we're heading in, we've kickstarted the festive season with a bang? What do you see as the way forward?
My personal view is there are some headwinds which seem to be appearing with the increasing interest rates, inflation. We can also see that the agri input costs are at an all-time high. Although having said that, government spends seem to be going well and are at record levels. But at the same time, we've seen that there are certain parts of the country that have been adversely affected by monsoon, especially some parts of north and east. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag going forward. But as far as the Mahindra portfolio is concerned, as far as our brands are concerned, we continue to have very strong demand as we go forward into the rest of the financial year.
Okay. Well, sir, you did mention that M&M is now #1 in SUVs, and now by both volume as well as revenue share. What exactly is the market share now in the SUV space, and how much has it risen compared to, say, maybe a year ago?
Look, I think it's a little dynamic, and that's why I quoted both volume and revenue share, because all said and done, supply chain still continues to be a challenge for most players in the auto space. And I think the favorite topic of semiconductors, while everyone's managing the short term, there is a systemic gap between demand and supply, especially for automotive grade semiconductors. So I think so from a volume perspective, we ended September with over 19% market share. But like I said, I think one should look at both revenue and volume, because volume market share seems to, depend on capacities and supply chain. And, and hence we are confident that going forward on revenue market share, we would hold position and, continue to remain in the top league of players when it comes to volume market share.
Take that point, and SUVs are doing well. What is your sense of the trend looking like? I mean, how is it looking like going forward? You did mention some headwinds like rising interest rates and inflation hitting consumption in some pockets. Could you talk a little about that?
I don't think I would want to forecast or give a guidance on that, but. Like I did mention, there are multiple factors that are playing out. And, when we talk about SUVs, I think one good thing about SUVs is, and if you can, you take a look at the last 3 years trend, even when the pandemic started and was at its peak, while the passenger vehicle industry declined in 20 and had marginal growth in 21, the SUV segment of the category continued to grow year on year, even during the pandemic, post-pandemic. And of course, this year it's growing at a strong 40-odd%, and the overall PV industry YTD is about 30%. But the point that I'm trying to make is the share of SUVs as a percentage of PV continues to be well above 50, about 50%. So I think from a demand point of view, I think SUVs will continue to remain strong. So some of these headwinds in that sense, while will impact more the space of small commercial vehicles, and partly passenger cars, I think SUVs to that extent will continue to remain strong.
Okay, SUVs will continue to remain strong. I think the question on everyone's mind is what's the launch pipeline, right, over the next 6 to 12 months from the Mahindra stable, especially in the SUV space. We know about the upcoming EV, but what else?
Sonia, I think we'll leave the 6 to 12 months for later, but we've gone out and spoken about our next launch. Actually, we've done the reveal, and there is a full timeline that we've spoken about. Availability of vehicles for test drive and display at our dealerships, and starting our bookings in January, and deliveries too, which is what I'm talking about, is the EV from our first EV SUV in our portfolio in the recent times that we launched, which is the XUV400. So that's the next vehicle that will be out in the market from our side.
Okay, sure. While the wholesale sales to dealers has been very strong, and we know that, can you help us with the retail sales growth in the month of September? And what's the year-to-date sales growth on the retail end?
I think it wouldn't be right to quote September, because the festive season last year was different from this year. The timing of the festive season, so whether you look at Navratri, Diwali, and we all know that a Shraddh comes in the middle, which is a period where people don't take deliveries. But rather than just quoting a number for September, what I would like to talk about is if I look at cumulative by year to date, and especially even if I talk about the last quarter, if anything, we've not added stock to our channel. And like I said, the booking pipeline is so strong. We are doing our best to reduce the waiting period, but currently, whether you talk about Scorpio Classic, Scorpio N, XUV700, XUV300, Thar, there is a significant waiting for our products.
All right, and what about premiumization? I mean, we do see people upgrading to more expensive vehicles, and even within vehicles, there's premiumization with better safety features, premium tires, etc. Would this lead to higher earnings that you have per vehicle? I mean, what does that mean for your margins?
I think what one needs to keep in mind is, of course, there is a certain price value equation that we have got right with our recent launches, where we pack in a lot for our customers. So And I think that's something that we've got right and we manage well. Over a period of time, we do keep taking our price increases from time to time. We do factor in a balance between commodity prices and costs while we take a price increase. So, I wouldn't want to give a guidance on that, but I think one thing, Sonia, we should keep in mind is that while, people are opting for higher end variants in all the brands, we shouldn't forget that with the higher end comes the complexity of that many more features and that much more impact of components and semiconductors, and not only that, various other components, some of which need to be imported, and the depreciation of the rupee has, so while on one side we are seeing a shift in commodity prices coming down, there is also an impact of how the depreciation of the rupee is kind of balancing that. So I think all these factors need to be seen from time to time, and we do factor in all of that when we talk about pricing, keeping in mind obviously the balancing out on volumes and financials simultaneously.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for that and all the best. That's the word coming in from M&M. Very good set of numbers this time, and #1 position in the SUV market now on the back of their recent launches. Let's slip into a quick break. On the other side, Ekta will put focus on a pickup in India's pediatric dermatology segment. More on that in a bit.